In 1937, the world was still feeling the fresh scar tissue of World War I, conveniently just as the onset of the next Great War began to take shape. Amongst the rise of fascism and the growing divide of Europe came an important film. It used the new medium of movie making to unveil the foolishness of it all, the illusion, if you will. The film itself is a shining example of how a piece of art can capture the heart and soul of a place in our history, and illuminate the depth of our relationships with our countrymen, our enemies, and ourselves. Renoir is trying to use the film to make a point, that war itself, in this point in time, is a grand illusion, quickly being demystified. No one comes out a winner, is the message it is trying to convey, but through unclear methods. To accomplish this, Renoir created a film that glorified peace, emphasized humanity, meditated on the end of European high-class society, and did all that while using brilliant cinematography to highlight the tremendous acting presence of its cast. When all is said and done, it is an unforgettable masterpiece that remains relevant and largely enjoyable to this day, 70 plus years after its original release. How does such relevance and beauty stand the test of time? Let's list the primary ways. 1. Revealing the illusion through tone. While the illusion itself has been debated, there is no doubt Renoir is seeking to downplay the glory and cliches of war by showing the whole thing as a sort of farce perpetuated by everybody playing their part. While people might think a sense of duty to country is important, it isn't in the grand scheme of things. At least that's what the movie is trying to say. Even in victory, characters are uncertain or simply made to suffer more as a byproduct of the surrounding war. Nobody wins. For example, Germany wins several massive battles, but Elsa, and by proxy Germany itself, loses a family member in each one. Maréchal rouses the French prisoners by starting a rendition of their national anthem, but is thrown in solitary and made miserable by lack of French voices around him to the point of a breakdown. Ralph Stein is an accomplished pilot who has downed planes and fought with glory and has many officers under his wing, but is harshly injured, hobbled, and not given the ultimate glory of dying in battle, such as his friend, de Bordeaux, who wins by dying, distracting the fortress's guards to let his friend escape, the ultimate sacrifice given to the biggest hero in the film. Rarely is anyone in the movie being glorified or heroic in a frantic battle, like other similar films of the time, such as All Quiet on the Western Front with its tremendous battle scenes. This is because the film is trying to celebrate humanity as it exists inside a war, rather than celebrate the war or either side's morals. It bears repetition. No one simply wins in a war. Even at the end, when they escape, there is no certainty that Maréchal and Rosenthal will finish their journey, or even settle into peace. Did the shots fired by the German patrol at the end hit one of them, perhaps? The movie keeps such things obfuscated in an effort to keep the tone as the focus. It's implied that they will be returning to the front, which gives us another layer of uncertainty surrounding their fate after the credits roll. This layer of uncertainty as we observe men imprisoned on the fringes of the war is why the film has retained relevance. It's a relatable tone of ambiguity that surrounds everything that happens, just like in real war. 2. Framing of setting and shots. The camera takes long, focused shots, and is constantly used in slow, gliding fashion to great effect. This lets the viewer glide through the story and setting, rather than harsh cuts or quicker editing of montage in other war films, such as Battleship Potemkin. It's less frantic, and more serene. The camera is used to show off not only the actors, but the settings. The Hallsbach training ground with the young boys training and stomping around outside, the stage show area with all the loud, conversing soldiers, the transition to Wintersborn, the drawn-back macro shots of Maréchal and Rosenthal with sprawling fields and valleys below. 3. Highlighting the humanity. The movie includes every walk of life possible in wartime. Officers of distinction, grunts, boys training to join the army, widowers, children, men from all involved nations, men in drag, even animals such as the cow Maréchal talks to. This all goes to forge a feeling of connectivity between all living things in the film, despite the barriers that are always present around them via the war. Even the gender barrier is broken via that drag show. It was kind of weird at the time, actually. Essentially, every shot in the movie is meant to focus on the actors. There are very few scenes, if any, that do not prominently feature actors in the frame. This is especially noticeable when watching the film without subtitles. When you don't have to focus on what they're saying, you can focus on what it looks like. You get sentimental, and oftentimes strangely romantic vibes from the way scenes are framed. The battlefields of war are largely ignored in favor of scenes that highlight the people within them, not the events taking place around them. Rather than constant violent brutality or strife, the film goes the opposite way and tries its best to highlight the humanity in all of us, enemy or friend. A German officer cuts Maréchal's meat. Dibble-Do washes his feet. A guard provides a harmonica when he is in solitary confinement. Hell, at the very start of the film, Ralph Stein apologizes for shooting down the French officers. To this day, this is still a poignant and beautiful film that shows the strength of humanity in the lives of soldiers and civilians in wartime. Ironically enough, it shows it through the eyes of a pacifist director at the onset of World War II. I wish we had listened a little better.